This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Search for Lily and Jack. Volunteers comb the woods of Lansdowne in a renewed effort to find the missing siblings. Community divided. A proposed whale sanctuary in this rural Nova Scotia town riles up residents. And rally-goers say their battle to help preserve West Mabou Beach Provincial Park will go on.
Scattered showers and flurries becoming more isolated overnight and into Tuesday. A couple of sunny breaks and then more sun midweek. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. There's been another search in the woods of Pictou County, Nova Scotia, for two missing children. But this time, it wasn't RCMP-led. Volunteers rallied together to comb the woods of Lansdowne, where 5-year-old Jack Sullivan and his 6-year-old sister Lily were reported missing on May the 2nd. Angela McIver reports.
A last-ditch effort before winter hits for any sign of 5-year-old Jack Sullivan and his 6-year-old sister Lily. These volunteers split into 6 groups and spent a day in the woods of Lansdowne, the rural Nova Scotia community where the siblings were reported missing on the morning of May 2nd. The nonprofit group Please Bring Me Home made the trip from Ontario to coordinate people on the ground.
So this will be our side. We're going to follow it way down. Eventually, we're going to turn the river and we follow it up past Lansdowne Lake.
About 30 people volunteered to take part in this search, most of them family and friends, all coming together in the hopes of finding any clue that will lead them to Jack and Lily.
It's sad, very sad, but it's been 6 months and we need some type of closure to this case.
While trekking through thick brush and scaling steep embankments, teams did find a few items of interest.
And it looks like it has like underwear, like it's been burned, and it's the t-shirt. So it's a unique design. So we took a picture, we sent it to the RCMP. They then spoke to family and they said that it's not something they recognize.
Volunteers also came upon a child's bicycle, a blue blanket, and an old geocaching kit with the children's stepfather's name in it.
That's why it's so important to relook, like especially before snowfall, and have a third party come and just take a peek. Not that we're no better than anybody else, it's just having a third party come look is so important.
But at times, it got tense. One property owner refused entry where there are signs for no trespassing.
Why are you trying to stop us from finding them?
You have what?
We weren't in the
Two
field.
very dangerous animals.
What animals are they?
2 rams.
A roller coaster of emotions for everyone involved, especially those who love Lily and Jack.
It'd be discouraging if none of it means anything. So I'm really hoping that something has turned up. Evidence of something, anything will do.
The RCMP says none of the items found are relevant to the investigation, but with everyone feeling unsettled, the volunteer group now plans to bring in cadaver dogs to do continued targeted searches this week. Angela McIver, CBC News, Lansdowne.
A Spryfield man has been sentenced to a minimum of 10 years in prison for a murder he committed more than 2 years ago. Adam Dempsey was stabbed to death during a house party at a Spryfield apartment in August of 2023. He fled the scene and collapsed at the foot of a staircase outside. He was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead. 38-year-old Alexander Charles Howe pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. A judge set the minimum 10-year parole period when Howe appeared in court this morning.
Although this was a horrendous and horrific act, we agreed with the defense counsel that resolving this for the minimum of 10-year parole ineligibility was appropriate here. It saved witnesses from having to testify, saved the court, and trials are unpredictable as well. So although the Crown felt they had a strong Crown case, trials are unpredictable, and so we felt that that 10-year parole ineligibility was an appropriate number in this case.
The judge stressed that while Howe can start applying for parole after serving 10 years, there's no guarantee he'll be released then. He said the true sentence is life in prison. A doctor now faces 3 charges alleging he sexually assaulted patients at a Nova Scotia hospital. Dr. Sanjeev Sirpal is accused of sexual assaults in January and March this year. It alleged it happened while he was working at the Cumberland County Regional Healthcare Centre. A lawyer representing Sirpal appeared in Amherst Court today. The case was adjourned to December 22nd to give time to get disclosure of evidence. The 39-year-old also faces a charge of alleging he sexually assaulted a person in Edmundston in northwest New Brunswick in August. Sirpal is suspended from practicing in New Brunswick and is not licensed in Nova Scotia. The Houston government has created a team of provincial enforcement officers to monitor and charge those involved in illegal seafood sales. The 4 inspectors will be assigned from within the Department of Natural Resources. Preston Mulligan is in Yarmouth and has this report.
About 30% of annual lobster landings in Atlantic Canada go unreported. Cash sales often that cost the province of Nova Scotia about $400 million each year in unrealized tax revenue. The new inspectors won't be on the water. Rather, they'll monitor what happens to the catch when it's landed.
Their mandate will be to visit every buyer and processing facility in the province, collect records, and make sure that our licensed buyers and processors are all on the up and up.
This part of the province has been struggling with unrest as Ottawa and law enforcement struggle to regulate a lobster fishery in a way that satisfies commercial fishermen and Mi'kmaq communities trying to assert their right to a moderate livelihood.
This is going to be a small step that's going to lead to bigger steps to bring everybody into a greater degree of compliance.
The new unit of 4 compliance officers will work with DFO on monitoring and investigations and will have the power to lay charges when necessary. Those in the industry have long complained the provincial DNR officers were too occupied with issues outside of the fishery to really curb illegal fish sales. And perhaps more importantly, some fishermen here say the inspectors will not be armed, nor will they have the authority to shut down plants that buy illegally caught fish.
I understand from the provincial side, you've got to look at the size of the problem and the resources that you have to put at it. Maybe we will find that compliance will come into place. We won't need an expansion of the compliance team. If not, we might find that we do need more officers. It'll just be a matter of time to see where it all lands.
Lobster season here in this part of southwest Nova Scotia gets underway exactly 1 week from today, weather permitting. Those in the industry say an announcement like the one made today might be one step toward making this fishery better regulated and safer. Preston Mulligan, CBC News, Yarmouth.
A plan for North America's first ever whale sanctuary is making waves along Nova Scotia's eastern shore. As Selena Alders shows us, even though nothing is imminent, landowners and residents there are divided.
Ocean access will be cut off for all landowners.
Tracy Burns-Gagnon and her family own the largest plot of land in Wine Harbour, a small village along Nova Scotia's eastern coast. It's also the site of a proposed whale sanctuary backed by a U.S. nonprofit.
It's a sad day that the government would choose an American company over Nova Scotians.
The province has given its approval to grant the organization a land and water lease. Burns-Gagnon says it's ignoring a policy that requires unanimous consent from affected landowners before Crown leases are considered.
We're all going to have our ocean access completely taken away from us, and no one was consulted.
Tammy Vautour is a local cafe owner. She says the sanctuary would bring in much-needed tourism and employment.
We're at a tipping point right now that if we don't do something for our community, we're going to lose it.
The $20 million plan recently garnered attention as becoming a possible site for some of the beluga whales from Ontario's Marineland. But the now shuttered amusement park refuses to release the mammals to the proposed refuge, citing a lack of proven financial viability, among other concerns.
It's not perfect, but let's do everything we can to work together and be good neighbors and support the whales.
The sanctuary's CEO, Charles Vinnick, insists the facility will be open by the summer, but more fundraising and permits are needed before construction can begin. The Nova Scotia government would not make anyone available for an interview. In a recent statement, a spokesperson said reaching consensus on any issue is often difficult, and the province felt there was enough support for the sanctuary to move forward with the lease. Selena Alders, CBC News, Wine Harbour, Nova Scotia.
And joining us now on what has been a gray November day, Ryan Snoddon from the CBC Weather Center. Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. We've got some showers, some flurries in the mix today. That transitions to straight up flurries as we move through tonight, and a lingering chance for a flurry mixed with a shower for Tuesday, but it's a really isolated risk. The best chance is going to be here through the valley in Cobequid Bay yet again, and that's thanks to the westerly winds that are going to be on the go, as well as the highlands in Cape Breton. That low pulling away to the north, and you can see the chances for precipitation really dropping off overnight in through Tuesday. Still a lingering chance for a flurry, or as I said, maybe mixed with a shower once temperatures do rise. Northern areas most likely into the Inverness County area. That low continues to push off, and then we've got an area of high pressure coming in from the west. So Wednesday still a bit breezy, but overall a better day with a mix of sun and cloud. And then that area of high pressure comes right overhead, and that'll bring us a lot of sunshine for Thursday. A little vitamin D fix before things cloud back up and get unsettled. Friday into Saturday, we'll talk about that with your 7-day coming up.
Like the idea of the sun. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
A Halifax man says he's facing eviction at the end of his fixed-term lease after making complaints about repairs needed in his apartment for the last year. Ralph Pearson says he moved into a unit in the Stanley Park apartments last November and was told he could move to a month-to-month contract after his lease ended. But he soon realized a leaky window in his bedroom was causing mold under his carpet, and his front door was hung loosely in the wall, among other issues. Pearson says repairs by the on-site manager were slow to happen and came only after he reached out to the residential tenancies program.
He came in and did some repairs, but it took him quite a long time to actually do it because they had to get tenancy board involved in the city. Then after that, things started rolling, right? But still, things aren't repaired like they're supposed to. Like the countertops are falling off too, and there's cracks around the sink that he was told by the city to fix, and he just put a Band-Aid on it.
Pearson says he was told by the on-site manager that he would have to leave at the end of November. He says he's still looking for a new apartment. Residents and neighbors protested in Mabou on Sunday to keep land in the provincial park protected. It came just days after Premier Tim Houston said a controversial golf course development would not go ahead in the park after significant public backlash. Anna Rack reports.
About 100 people gathered in strong winds and rain at the rally. Organized by the Save West Mabou Beach campaign, they want that provincial parkland protected.
I know it's raining, I know it's a little bit cold, but I see an awful lot of people coming and gathering, and from different parts of, not just from Mabou, but from everywhere. So it's very, very heartwarming, really.
The Cabot Company proposed a golf course on West Mabou Beach Provincial Park. 3 days before the rally, Premier Tim Houston said the proposed golf course development on the park will not be going any further. But the West Mabou Beach campaign says there's still work to do. They want legislative change to make it impossible for private companies to buy protected land.
We're going to continue to work towards closing any loopholes because, let's face it, our community has gone through the ringer 3 times on this for no reason at all. There's like nothing right about what has happened here.
Locals in the area are saying they do not want developers to have access to protected spaces.
I just hope that we don't have to go through this again, but I do think that we need to strengthen the legislative protections for coastal areas, for protected parks, and for public lands.
The Cabot Company tried to purchase this land for a golf course 3 times now. Locals at the rally are hoping it won't happen again and to keep parks across the province protected.
Came out here because we wanted to stand with the good people of Mabou and fight for our provincial parks. Yeah, it's not just a Mabou issue, it's a provincial issue, and we're all very passionate about that. It's the last frontier when it comes to nature.
Supporters say the fight is not over, and they will continue working to protect lands from future development. Anna Rack, CBC News, Mabou.
Meanwhile, hundreds of people gathered in Halifax Saturday to call for better environmental protections in Nova Scotia.
We're no longer going to be silent. We're going to speak up for the injustices. Well, all you, and thank you very much.
That's Mi'kmaq Elder Albert Marshall. He traveled from Eskasoni to speak at the event. The Shoulder to Shoulder rally was organized by leaders from Mi'kmaq communities and non-Indigenous groups. They say the Houston government is choosing the economy over the environment. Speakers at the rally also called on Houston to reinstate the moratorium on uranium exploration in the province. The view from our harbor cam tonight. Ryan Snoddon back with your full weather forecast. We'll see you right back after this quick break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
Yeah, the damp weather, the dark evenings.
Yeah.
We're in the throes of November, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was notable to me on Sunday when it was really raining and cloudy. It was like 3:30 and I was driving to pick the kids up and I thought, it already feels like the sun is setting. It's so dark.
True.
Yeah, and so it was, we're getting there, right?
We're going to get to the other side of it,
that's
too,
true.
eventually.
That's
of course,
true.
let's remind people.
But yes, it was a brighter day today. It'll be brighter for the next couple of days, so that will kind of help offset things a little bit.
Good.
Have a look at our temperatures out there right now. Just 1 to 3 to 4 degrees in most cases. A couple of 5s on the board. The Westport, Yarmouth, Bacaro, and at Canso as well. And of course, our hotspot, so often this time of year with this type of a setup, our provincial hotspot, Sable Island at 8 degrees. Now, looking at the winds, they have been blustery today, haven't they? Sustained in the 20, 30 kilometer per hour range, 56 at last check, Beaver Island, Westport at 57, Yarmouth at 44, and we're gusting 50, 60, 70 kilometers per hour along parts of the coast right now. Those winds will continue to subside as we move into this evening. There are the showers and flurries that have been mixing in, and yeah, it's even though you're seeing, green here, a lot of this has been coming down as wet flakes. So certainly through the Cobequid Pass, the highest terrain areas of the 104, certainly into the Cape Breton Highlands. The valley kind of painted in white today with these flurries that have been blowing through. 15 centimeters of snow, by the way, into this morning for places like Edmundston and Grand Falls, New Brunswick. So yeah, this was certainly a wintry shot that is now moving off to the north, and what we're going to be looking at is this area of high pressure moving in, calming things down for a couple of days, which will be nice. The jet stream, you can see it riding here where the warmer air is trying to creep up towards places like Calgary at 13 degrees, but most of the warmest temps now pushing way down to the U.S. South, as is so often the case this time of year. Temperatures 1 to 3 tonight will be just above the freezing mark, but cool enough that we could still see some light accumulation in these flurries. Westerly winds 20 to 30, backing off with gusts 40 to 50 overnight, but they will linger. Often the winds ease overnight to become light. That will not be the case overnight tonight. Those winds will continue from the west. As we look at the timeline, note things really calming down by the time we get to about midnight. Still mainly cloudy overnight. Tomorrow, end of the day, still looking at this westerly wind blowing in flurries in through the Cobequid Pass, off Cobequid Bay, and into the Annapolis Valley. Also a very good chance throughout the day in through Inverness and Victoria counties to see some of that flurry action. Those are the best chances, but an isolated risk exists even down along the Atlantic coastline, especially in the morning. And then we're looking at some sunny breaks into the afternoon, but it does look like the clouds will continue to dominate. Best chances for some accumulation, a trace, maybe a centimeter or two in the high terrain areas, and of course the Cobequid Mountains, which will, the Cape Breton Highlands, which will pick up upwards of 5 centimeters of snow possible overnight, and another 5 centimeters possible into tomorrow morning. We are looking at those southwest winds, which are going to be gusting 30 to 40 kilometers per hour again tomorrow. Westerlies through central areas, temperatures right near 3-4 degrees, and into the west, similar story. Winds gusting to 40 kilometers per hour, temperatures ranging from about 3 to 5. A bit more sunshine in the mix for Wednesday. Temperatures ranging between 4 and 6 degrees. That's not far from where we should be for this time of year. And we are looking at the clouds maybe a bit more sluggish towards the northeast and into Cape Breton, where we could still see an isolated flurry here in Cape Breton over the Highlands into Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, quieter. And then that area of high pressure moves in, brings us our brightest day of the 7-day forecast, which will be Thursday, although Sunday showing some hope as well. As you will see, we will see temperatures right through those mid-single digits. So the next system we're going to be watching moves in throughout the day on Friday. Friday itself looking more cloudy with showers kind of approaching throughout the later part of the day. And then wet weather Friday night. Saturday looks damp with showers, and then we're looking at a clearing sky. And Sunday looking pretty good to get back out in the yard and maybe rake some of those more leaves, Tom.
Kind of looking forward to it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
The PEI Invasive Species Council is raising concerns about a plant spreading through waterways. It's being found in several parts of the province and so far nowhere else in the Maritimes. The CBC's Cheyenne Desjardins explains.
So this is a little bit of the starwort growing here.
He says it's a first for PEI and for the Maritimes, a little plant called pondwater starwort, and it's bad news for pretty much everything else in the water.
It's kind of like a bully of a plant in the stream. It would be essentially like looking at a grass lawn carpeting the stream completely.
A watershed in Hunter River noticed it first back in July. Then people started finding it in places near Bonshaw and Charlottetown too.
It's going to be very aggressive and very resistant to treatment.
In the right conditions, it looks like this, a thick, tangly mess that can harm whatever is underneath it.
It's creating essentially a net. It's going to be really hard for fish to pass through. Things floating down the stream are going to get caught in it. The other plants that our wildlife depend on aren't going to be able to compete with it.
PEI's Invasive Species Council says it's tricky to say how exactly the plant got here, but it's sometimes put in backyard ponds and aquariums, so that could be it. And the seeds are easy for birds to spread.
By the looks of the infestations, it does look like it has been here for at least a growing season or two.
Once the plant settles in, she says it's tough to get rid of. It can survive the winter underwater, and trying to yank it out might actually make the situation worse. If any bits are left behind, it just grows right back.
Right now, there are a lot of unknowns on how to get rid of it since it is such a new discovery. We identified it in many regions and it was growing very quickly, so it definitely is a concern.
PEI's Invasive Species Council says the pondwater starwort is likely in other places on the island and is asking people to report it if they see it. Once the team has a better idea of how widespread the problem is, they'll decide how to best manage it. Chien Desjardins, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Coming up, we'll hear more about this weekend's grueling search in Lansdowne as volunteers looked for clues in the disappearance of Jack and Lily Sullivan. The search for 2 missing Nova Scotia children this weekend was organized by a non-profit organization based in Ontario. Please Bring Me Home has helped locate more than 50 missing people since 2018. Nick Oldreeve, the executive director of the group, says this was one of the most difficult searches he's been involved with. He spoke to the CBC's Angela McIver and Ali Thompson throughout the day on Saturday.
And the fact that it's found in the water, downriver, yeah, it's just strange. It's strange. So we're organizing a search for Jack and Lily Sullivan. We are relying on community members to come and join those efforts. We're going to offer like a little bit of shooting from the hip training on walking along looking for evidence. We've had about 40 people volunteer, but overnight you've had some people drop out. So I would be over the moon if 30 people showed up. Your safety does come first. We are looking for the kids, but your safety comes first. I would say mostly family and friends, and then there's just like concerned members of the community that wanted to get involved and help search, and this is their opportunity to get that. We were not going to get involved. We were trying to stay far away from this because we felt that the RCMP were heavily involved, search and rescue was heavily involved. They were doing a bang-up job from what we could see from the outside looking in, and as soon as you start having conversations with the family, when any family member fills out an intake with Please Bring Me Home, we always get involved in some capacity. We never say no. Of course, it's sad we're going to search for 2 missing kids, but I think that the community and the family coming together to do this effort and a crew coming from Ontario is hopefully overpowering that somberness.
Okay, my key, we're going. Stay safe. You guys too.
Can you describe how the day has been going so far?
It's been a wee bit stressful. Just trying to manage from the outside to make sure that the searchers are safe, and there's 6 groups, so it's a lot of moving around and making sure that they're okay. Like I've had to get 2 people out who've needed to go out because it was too much for them. So that's been a little bit difficult to manage. And then just with the cell service and the walkie-talkies not working properly, it's been really difficult. But I know where everybody is now, and we've only got a couple hours left of sunlight, so we're ahead of the game. There has been some items located that would initially be like items of interest. So it looked to be like a boy's t-shirt we had located. We sent that to the RCMP. They're going to connect with family to see if it appears familiar. At this time, it doesn't appear to be a familiar shirt. We found like a box with some people's names in it that are interesting that we're going to turn over to the RCMP. They're actually on duty today, so just in the event that we do find something. And they were very interested in the box that we found with the certain names in it that I can't say, but they're interested in that. And the fact that it's found in the water, downriver, and yeah, it's just strange. It's strange. We're gonna go and just check in with 2 of the search teams. This is a rickety road we're gonna be going down to reach them though. Likely gonna be picking up 2 of them to come back to vehicles so that they can come and the rest of them can get picked up.
I'm good. Anyone want out of this? Good.
Okay. So just continue on then. So you guys are gonna go to the pipeline, or sorry, it is the pipeline trail, and then walk on the opposite side of the woods. It's a pretty thick trail, and then I guess just follow along the water. Do you guys think, see what time you're at when you get to the water though? Because you'll see you're still.
Yeah, I got you.
You're got a ways up here to go and down there. So, and I want to start really getting people out by 4.
Yeah. What time is it now?
2. Yeah, 2 hours. This, by far, has been the most difficult to manage during the search because you're having to check in with each team every 30 minutes and things come up. You have to go and talk to property owners who are upset that we're there.
I will have you charged for trespassing.
Do it!
This has been by far one of the more difficult ones to manage from a safety perspective. Now that I've been here, I'm, even in my own mind, trying to comprehend how it can be possible that these kids wandered off and they haven't been found, especially after being in there and seeing all the flagging tape and hearing from all the property owners that we spoke with what the searching has been done. I'm having a really hard time fathoming that probability now that I've seen it for myself.
And what makes you say that?
Many things, but I think most importantly it is the amount of effort that search and rescue has put forward to try and find these kids and how quick they were able to start that process. I just find it more unlikely by the minute today that they had wandered. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just I after seeing it, I can't understand how they wouldn't have been found that first day. We're not stopping. We have to stop because winter's approaching. And we will come back in springtime and do a search dependent on what our CMP's involvement in springtime will be. So, and who knows what will be learned throughout the winter. When the families ask for help, you can't really say no, whether it's a current case or whatever. We have the capacity to do it. We shot from the hip here and planned this in 2 weeks, and we were able to do it, and we were able to clear many kilometers just by asking for locals to come help. So it can certainly be done, and we're in it until they're found.
Coming up, federal budget. The Liberals are facing a crucial confidence vote that could trigger an election. And U.S. President Donald Trump appears to be dropping his fight over releasing all of the Epstein files. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney's first federal budget is facing a crucial vote in the House of Commons. The outcome will determine whether the Liberals can move ahead with their fiscal plan or if there could be a winter election. Olivia Stefanovich brings us the latest from Ottawa.
Mr. Fraser, do you believe your government has enough votes for the budget?
The stakes couldn't be higher.
I'm optimistic. This is the budget that we just campaigned on in the recent federal election.
Just over 6 months after winning April's election, Prime Minister Mark Carney could be back on the campaign trail if the Liberals lose their final confidence vote tonight on the federal budget.
I don't see any universe in which the government falls. None.
If Mr. Poilievre wants an election, let's do this. But if I were him, I'd be thinking really hard about whether I want to go to the polls or not.
Conservatives who stopped to speak say they're ready to bring the government down.
I don't think that Canadians can afford the budget that Mark Carney's put in front of them. It does nothing to address the core affordability issues that Canadians are facing.
Are you going to support the budget?
No way.
But it's unclear if all Conservative MPs will vote the same way, after several abstained from the last two motions.
Do you have confidence all Conservatives are going to vote against the budget?
With the Liberals just 2 seats shy of a majority, the government needs cooperation from the opposition.
Today is a historic day. The Leader of the Opposition and his colleagues have an opportunity to vote for generational investment.
It's a terrible day for the Canadian people stuck paying record-high grocery bills.
The Liberals may not have Pierre Poilievre's vote, but they will get support from Green Party leader Elizabeth May.
I'm going to vote yes for the country, for the planet.
With the Bloc Québécois expected to vote no, that leaves all eyes on the NDP.
You'll see soon. New Democrats met this morning to weigh their options, but aren't yet saying how they'll vote. Their decision alone could force a winter election. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
In the U.S., the House of Representatives is expected to vote as early as Tuesday to force the Justice Department to release files related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It comes after an astounding reversal by President Donald Trump. He's now telling fellow Republicans to support the release after fighting relentlessly to block it. So why the about-face now? Katie Nicholson explains.
After weeks of calling a bipartisan push to release the Department of Justice's files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein a hoax, Donald Trump reversed course, posting on social media last night, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. At an event today in the Oval Office, Trump was asked whether he wants to see this pass the Senate and land on his desk.
They can do whatever they want. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax.
This U-turn comes as more House Republicans were expected to break ranks and vote for the bill. Many in Trump's own base have been pushing for the release of the Epstein files for years, and so have Epstein's victims. On Sunday night, some of them participated in this PSA with an anti-trafficking organization, urging Americans to contact their members of Congress and push to release the files. Many victims have spoken about why. They believe it will give them many of the answers they seek about who in law enforcement and the justice system knew what and when about Epstein's activities and what they did or did not do about it. One of Epstein's accusers, Alicia Arden, spoke today.
I appeal to the members of the House. Vote to release these files so that we can finally see who else helped Jeffrey Epstein and who else victimized so many children and adults.
The Epstein Files Transparency Act would force the DOJ to make public all unclassified records, documents, communications, and evidence related to the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. If it passes the House, it would move on to the Senate. Republican Majority Leader John Thune will be under pressure to schedule a vote. If this measure passes both chambers with a two-thirds majority, it would be considered veto-proof, though that may not be necessary since Trump today signaled he'd be willing to sign it, eager for the attention to shift from Epstein to what he sees as the successes of his administration. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
The British government is proposing some dramatic new changes to its asylum system. The plan would make it far easier to deport people from the UK, and it would take far longer for asylum seekers to become permanent residents. Margaret Evans explains what's behind the changes and the pushback the Labour government is getting, even from within its own ranks.
Immigration, illegal or otherwise, tops the list of concerns cited by Britons in the latest Ipsos poll here, beating out both the economy and a struggling National Health Service.
Thank you very much.
Introducing her proposed new asylum rules, the Labour government's Home Secretary said a broken system was tearing the country apart.
But if we fail to deal with this crisis, we will draw more people down a path that starts with anger and ends in hatred.
She says the new policy will make it easier to deport failed asylum claimants and act as a deterrent.
Those granted asylum would no longer be eligible for automatic support from the state. They'd have their status reviewed every 2.5 years, and they'd only be eligible for permanent residency after 20, as compared to 5 now.
It doesn't sit well with a number of Labour MPs.
It's shameful that a Labour government is ripping up the rights and protections of people who have endured unimaginable trauma.
Critics accuse the Labour government of scapegoating asylum seekers, donning the mantle of the populist anti-immigration Reform UK, a small party, but one leading in the polls. There have been clashes in recent months between far-right activists marching against asylum hotels and those who would protect them. Analysts say there's been a disproportionate focus on the numbers of asylum seekers risking their lives to cross the channel on small boats.
Successive governments in the UK have really focused on the idea of control as being central to immigration policy. And this, of course, is very clear evidence of a lack of control by definition. These are unauthorised arrivals and has a quality of spectacle about it.
Nearly 40,000 people have arrived this way this year, a drop in the bucket compared to the numbers arriving through regular migration. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Canada's inflation rate fell to 2.2% in October, according to the latest numbers from Stats Canada. That's down from 2.4% in September. The drop is largely due to lower prices at the gas pump and a slower growth in grocery costs. Costs for fresh vegetables and processed food fell, but this was offset by higher prices for fresh or frozen chicken. The October inflation report comes ahead of the Bank of Canada's final interest rate decision of the year on December the 10th. The Canadian Real Estate Association has released its latest housing report, and the numbers are mostly down. CREA says home sales in October fell 4.3% compared to the same month a year earlier. Housing prices were down too. The average cost of a home in Canada slipped 1.1% from October 2024 to just over $690,000. But the number of listings was way up, with about 7% more properties for sale across the country than there were last fall. For many Canadians, getting help from their telecom provider can feel like a full-time job. Hours spent on the phone, passed from one agent to another, getting disconnected. Now a Winnipeg man is speaking out and calling for customer service protections. Erica Johnson has this Go Public investigation.
Every time Anil Sada tried to reach someone at Rogers to cancel his internet, he got this.
Please continue to hold and we will be with you shortly.
No matter what time he called, what day, he often sat on hold for hours. He went online. The link was broken. The chatbot told him he had to call.
How many days am I expected to call someone just to cancel a simple internet service?
And he's not alone. On social media, dozens describe frustrating ordeals. Waiting 2 hours on hold, writes one customer. Trying to reach an agent all day, writes another. It's hell. And now insiders worry things will get worse. Rogers just ended a contract that saw hundreds of customer service agents laid off and won't say whether they've been replaced elsewhere. Two former employees at that call center told Go Public they spent much of the last year training AI. It listened in, eventually offered prompts. They worry an impersonal touch could further frustrate customers. It's been 2 years since Shaw was taken over by Rogers. Experts say that merger only exacerbated a well-known problem: lack of competition.
A company like Rogers is not competing by offering the most compelling offer. They're competing and reducing churn by making it as much of a pain as possible for customers to leave.
Other countries are improving protections. Spain is forcing large companies to answer most calls within 3 minutes. The European Union is making it easier to cancel contracts. But here, no such laws for telcos.
They can actually kind of get away with it in some ways because there's so few federal regulations that really govern the customer service experience.
Said Howe was finally able to end his Rogers contract. It took 7 hours to say goodbye. Rogers declined an on-camera interview, but said in a statement that it handles millions of customer interactions every month and works hard to deliver a great experience. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Streaming services that provide entertainment like TV shows, movies, and music are urging Quebec to reconsider a proposed law that would impose French language quotas. Some fear it could reduce users' options, but others say it's necessary to protect the French language and culture. Alison Northcott reports.
Platforms like Netflix and Spotify say they have serious concerns about Quebec's digital content bill.
The goal of this bill,
the province says it's meant to affirm Quebec's cultural sovereignty and improve access to French language cultural content online.
Right now, it's not very easy for them to find francophone content on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney+.
The bill being studied at the National Assembly would make platform interfaces default to French in Quebec and establish a quota for French language content.
Platforms have kind of broken the traditional media ecosystem, and now we need to think of a new ecosystem that will protect the French language and help Quebec culture thrive.
But the platforms say they do offer content in French and say the bill is counterproductive and unrealistic. Music streaming sites say it would curtail consumers' choices and bring unintended consequences.
If a consumer starts to go to unlicensed places to get access to the music that they want to listen to, I think, as I say, going back to the Napster days, you can see that consumers will follow a path, right, to get to what they want to listen to.
This law professor says the bill could limit what Quebecers can access.
That you could have certain platforms look at the costs of compliance here and say that it's just not worth the trouble. Alternatively, the price will be paid by Quebec subscribers who will find that their services are inferior services because there will be content removed that is available elsewhere.
It's actually the risk of losing our language.
For Quebec artists, though, the bill is seen as a potential lifeline.
Because there is a lack of visibility of Francophone content on streaming platforms. And for us, it would be extremely important for our artists and songwriters and composers to be seen.
And she says that would be an important first step. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Canada's main stock index finished more than 250 points lower today, driven by losses in the technology sector, while U.S. markets also fell. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to commercial break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
And Ryan, back to help wrap things up here. Picture time. Let's
Yep.
try and cheer people up here a little bit. What do you got?
Yeah, we've got a nice one. This one from Cape Breton. And as we zoom in on Inverness, there it is. This is a beautiful shot from Francis A. McDonald. This is Red Bank in
that recently taken
Inverness. Yeah.
Wow, it's so green.
I know. And, I noticed that the grass is greener now than it was for a good chunk of the summer.
It's mixed up.
Yes, with, of course, the drought. And then now, finally some rain and things are greening up. But, you can see the trees, a little sign of the times. But you're right, that grass is really green in that photo. Thanks to Francis A. McDonald for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. A little bit of white on that grass, perhaps overnight in Inverness, as those temperatures are going to be borderline. And we will be looking at that flurry action through this evening at least. Tomorrow, just an isolated chance for showers and flurries, primarily from the valley to Colchester, Cumberland, Pictou, Antigonish, and into northern Cape Breton, along that northern part of the province. We'll look at the greatest risk tomorrow really across Inverness and Victoria counties, with an isolated risk across the rest of the mainland. We are looking at that chance for some sunny breaks into the afternoon especially, and then things will further clear into tomorrow evening, of course, long after sunset, but that will set the stage for a pretty nice Wednesday. There are your temperatures tomorrow, 3, 4, 5 degrees. Winds still brisk, not quite as strong as they were today. And then for Wednesday, we're looking at an even brighter sky. As I said, still a little stubborn. The clouds will be across the northeast of the province and into Cape Breton. And then we're watching that area of high pressure to work its way in from the west, bringing further clearing and our brightest day of the next couple of days, certainly into the mix for Thursday. Friday, clouding back up, late day showers, looking pretty damp Friday night into Saturday, and then we'll clear again for Sunday.
Sounding pretty good. Okay, thanks, Ryan. Well, there were some incredible images coming out of Sakurajima's stratovolcano in Japan this weekend. Have a peek. It's the country's most active volcano, and as you can see, it has erupted yet again. In fact, a series of early morning eruptions sent a towering plume of smoke and ash as high as 4,400 meters into the sky, disrupting the air travel throughout the southwestern part of Japan.
And while the volcano erupts regularly, this was the first plume to reach more than 4 kilometers in over a year.
Impressive, to say the least. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.